I don't think being single is the hard part. I think the actual hard part is accepting yourself for being single. I think a lot of us have been conditioned to believe that being single means that we are behind in life, that there's something wrong with us, that we are unlovable. And being single all of my life, there were times I thought about that too. But after living life and just trying to figure things out, I realize a lot of that is not true, and there's a completely different perspective you can live life with, and I thought I'd share it with you in this video. So yeah, let me tell you how I learned how to be okay with being single. So to give you some backstory, I didn't have much interest in love when I was in like high school or even middle school. And it actually started, I was already kind of a late bloomer. So I started liking someone in college, I guess. So that's when it first started. So that's like when I had my first crush and all that. Like, I definitely back then put love on a pedestal, and I think I did have the perspective that love was gonna kind of fix everything. It would make me feel accepted, things like that, because I just felt like I didn't accept myself, and I did think that other people didn't accept me in the back of my mind type of way. But yeah, I remember having this one conversation with a friend in college, and this was when she really gave me a different perspective on love. But essentially, she was the type of person who didn't care that much about a relationship. Like, she was completely okay and fine being single for even like for a long time. And at that time, I was kind of shocked. Like, I could not fathom or like I could not understand how one would get to that sort of frame of mind. Yeah. But later, like 1 year after that conversation, she met her now husband, but yeah, things just worked out for her really fast. And I was you know, I sort of went through my college years not having a boyfriend, and then even after that, I still haven't found the one, but that kind of implanted the idea in my head that maybe I have to get to that point, that that mindset that I should not care about being in a relationship, that I just want to be single. And so I kind of worked on that, I guess. Whether that works or not, I don't know, cuz yeah, we shall see. Like, I don't really know if it's actually that mindset that helps you get into a relationship necessarily, because I feel like it just differs between people. Like, there are some people who really want love, and so they put in the effort, and that's how they find the one. And then for other people, like, they don't want it at all, and that's how they find the one. I don't really know how it happens, but it just differs between people, and I don't think it's like one mindset is gonna be the key or the thing that's gonna fix everything. I think it just really depends on the person. But yeah, essentially, I kind of had the belief back then that there was something kind of wrong with me, in a way. So this is how I healed that part of myself and learned to just be okay with being single. So the biggest reason I learned to love being single is because being single, being alone, to me equates with being at peace. So I think a lot of you can relate to it, but you may try going into dating or talking with someone and you realize, like, a lot of these people kind of disturb your peace. Like, and it's not anything bad about them necessarily most of the time. It's just you guys are incompatible, or you there's still a lot that needs healing for both of you, which is fine. That's just a part of life. But it's kind of like you're not at the right time of your life. So when you meet people, it kind of feels like your peace is being taken away from you, or there's a lot you have to give of yourself, and it puts a lot of stress on you, things like that. And I realize, like, there isn't anything wrong with being single, because you learn to calibrate your body back to a state of peace. And that is really important for finding love in the end, because you want someone who gives you peace, even gives you a greater sense of peace. And learning how to sense that within your body and being used to it, I find, is crucial for being able to recognize your person or the one for you. That's why I think just being single is so important. Like, I feel like if you're looking for the one, you need an era of your life in which you are single, essentially, when you are learning what peace is for you. And that's going to differ between people, but it's essentially the key to you finding love later, is establishing that energy of peace. And that calibration, it takes time. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. For some people, it can take like maybe a year. For some people, several years. And I think it depends on usually your family background, like what kind of family you grew up in, and or even like the traumas you've had, different things like that. And if you have a longer road to get to peace, then it just takes a little bit longer, and there's nothing really wrong with that, in my opinion. It just takes a little bit more time. And I think another way I learned to accept and love myself for being single is, like, being single is also how you choose to love yourself. Essentially, every junction in life where you can make a choice between choosing somebody just because you want to be in a relationship and not because it's right for you, I think that is kind of the opposite of choosing yourself because you love yourself, because you want to prioritize your happiness in order to protect yourself. And I think, like, every time you come to that junction and choose yourself, that is you performing an act of self-love, and thus every time you do this, you just increase the amount of self-love within yourself. Not to say that there's anything wrong with making mistakes in relationships, because there are always decisions of self-love, no matter what decision you make. But I do think when you are able to develop the skill of learning to recognize these junctions in life, or being able to recognize like who is right for you and who is not a match for you, I think it's a way to heal yourself and heal love, and thus you attract who is actually meant for you in the future. And I think, like, a lot of people think being single is kind of like a loss in being in love or being in a relationship, but that isn't necessarily the case, I believe. Like, I think choosing to be single can also be a gain in life, and there's a lot to gain from being single. Like, you can achieve a greater sense of peace, more freedom, learning about yourself. Like, it just depends on, everyone's life, but there's still a lot to gain from being single, and I think it's just about opening up your perspective. And that leads into my next topic of why I believe it's okay to be single. Like, there are so many reasons as to why being alone or being single is good for you. Like I mentioned before, it gives you a greater sense of peace and freedom. You get to learn what you actually want in life, and you get to learn how to love yourself first, which is, I think, really important in a relationship. You do a lot of healing during that time just because life happens. Like, there is a lot of healing you can do in a relationship, but even outside of a relationship, like while you're single, there's still a lot of things you can learn in life, a lot of time you can spend reflecting and growing yourself. And that, I think that's really nice to do on your own too. So, what about like the shame and stigma associated with being single? Like, how does one overcome that? Well, I've been kind of fortunate enough to not experience that much shame or stigma from being single. Like, my family doesn't pressure me into having a relationship, or my friends don't particularly care that I'm still single. But yeah, I do realize that world exists. And I do see it in like online spaces and stuff. But I don't think being single is something to be ashamed about or stigmatized. And I think the only way to overcome that is to just ignore that world. Kind of like ignoring other people's opinions, because you can't let other people's beliefs seep into you. Like, no matter what belief they have, if you let other people's opinions and beliefs kind of get into you and merge with you, and like that distorts your world and shapes your actions and beliefs, you lose yourself essentially, and you take on a burden or a world or a belief that isn't yours. So, yeah, I don't want to have to carry shame or stigma pertaining to being single, so I just ignore it. Yeah, I kind of live in a world where that doesn't exist, essentially. Like, essentially, I believe that being single is as normal as being in a relationship. Like, every person who is in a relationship right now has been single. Like, it's just a normal part of life. And for some people, yes, that time frame can be longer compared to other people's, but I feel like it doesn't matter. Like, whether you are single or in a relationship, both sides are equal. And they're just a normal part of the human experience, I think. So I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of for being single. So these are just my final thoughts on this topic, but if you are a single person and you are wondering how to be okay with being single, here's my answer for you. You're gonna get there eventually, being okay with being single. There is a reason why you are in this phase of your life, and it's important not to rush it just because other people tell you like you should be in a relationship to rush and get into a relationship. Like, I do think there is this reason why you are being protected in your singlehood. Like, you are protected. A lot of people may not understand this, but in your singlehood, you are actually being so protected. Like, it's hard to see, but like, so many things are happening for you to be single. Like, so many people are being blocked from reaching out to you or talking to you or starting a relationship with you because you are meant to be single right now for a reason. And there is something beautiful that is happening behind the scenes for you that you can't fathom, that you can't see yet. But I think, like, in the future, in hindsight, you're gonna see, it's gonna reveal itself to you why you are single right now. And it's kind of gonna blow your mind. But yeah, you have to trust the process and trust your life. and trust other people and trust your future partner who is coming. So yeah, just don't rush and let your singlehood just unfold the way it is. And learn to accept it as much as you can, but it's okay if you have your down days or days in which you feel very lonely and like you're feeling behind in life. Like, that is completely okay. We've all gone through it too. But know that you are going to get through this time. And there's a reason why it's happening in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I think that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.